Good morning, folks, or good afternoon, or good evening, whatever time it is you're watching this. Welcome to our weekly little conversation chat we're going to have here about everything to do with the world of H2B visas, and whether you're looking to explore traveling to the USA and working with country clubs for 8 months or possibly up to 3 years. And we're going to sort of have a little weekly chat here about it and try and provide enough information and I suppose, support and answer some questions for anyone who's looking to explore this opportunity or just wants to find out more about it. I suppose let me start off. My name is John Fingleton, owner of B. We pretty much are the agents here in Ireland and the UK for the Workaway program over in the USA. So Workaway have about 45 to 50 clubs that they primarily deal with every year for the USA country club business. With me today, we've got Dervla Hayes. I'm delighted to say Dervla has been working with us since her return from the States, trying to help us out with everything to do with social media and primarily teaching an old fogey like myself something to do with TikTok. For years now, we've been getting, are you on the TikTok? And I'm like, no idea, not interested, can't go there. But slowly but surely, you have obviously realized it's something we have to embrace. So thankfully, Dervil is here to save the day and get us up and running on our TikTok channels. So feel free to engage with Dervil on TikTok, ask her some questions if you want. Literally, we just want to try and provide people with some information and share some behind the scenes tips and tricks to see if this is genuinely something you want to do, and if it is, how you can go about doing it and what you can potentially get out of it for yourself. Dervla, thanks for joining me this morning.
Yeah, of course. Glad to be here.
Question.
Hoping that we can get some feedback as well on the kind of content that people would like to see on TikTok. Would be nice to know. We
Yeah,
can get
100%. I do think, on a segue, I do think it is the hardest part for any business. I mean, ourselves included, and definitely for Dervil, who's looking to sort of kick off her career in the social media, digital marketing end of it, is you're constantly trying to figure out what is it people actually are interested in when you're looking to create some content to be able to share with your people who are engaging with you. Um, so definitely the more questions you can ask us, the better quality content and information we can provide for you guys to make it a bit more, I suppose, informational. And ideally, if you do decide this is something you move forward with and you end up over in the States, you will have some good information and pictures and videos and, share your own experience as well. And just helps make this a lot more real for all the people who are potentially looking at it for the first time and wondering whether it's for them or not. So, Dervil, let me ask you this question. What made you decide to go to live and work in the USA?
Basically, I've been in a customer service role for 7 years, and I just felt like I was over it. I wasn't really moving forward, and I just kind of hit a wall, and I decided I wanted to travel. So I didn't really have that much experience in hospitality. I did hotel and catering management, but I dropped out years before. So I did have customer service experience. So I decided to apply for the role anyways. And luckily enough, I got it, and I got to travel and see America like I wanted to. So I was happy
Nice.
enough. Yeah.
So probably one of our promo campaigns about escape the cold and get over to the sun in Florida might have been the one that caught your attention, as
That's the
opposed
one.
to
Yeah.
as opposed to have a career in the hospitality industry. Yeah, no thanks. But I'll definitely escape
Yeah,
the
there's
cold
a
and go
lot
to
of
the sun in
people
Florida.
there's a lot of people on the course that like really do have a passion for hospitality and they really want to get ahead in it. And I just kind of wanted a holiday.
Yeah. And I suppose, look, that's sort of what I wanted to discuss a little bit here this morning. Like a lot of people, don't even know this is available out there. Even though I sort of feel we've been screaming it from the rooftops for about 10 years, I still will go into my local hotel or bar and restaurant and they go, what? Where? I can do what? I can go to America for 8 months and have like all the expenses paid for and flights and visas and healthcare and accommodation and jobs and everything. And I can maybe even stay there for up to 3 years. No way. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
How the hell don't you know about this?
When I was telling
But
people about it, they were like, no way.
yeah, but I guess what we've found over the years, Dervila, is, and I'm sure you probably had the same insight at some stage, or maybe the same feeling, is definitely it does in this day and age come across as it's almost too good to be true.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, when they see it, they do feel this must be a scam, or they share it with family or parents, and parents go, are you off your rocker? There's nobody's going to pay for your return flights, provide you with a visa, with healthcare, with accommodation, with transportation to work, with a job that pays you $18 an hour or $27 an hour for overtime. Like, it's definitely a scam. You're not going anywhere near that Florida thing, and that sort of
Mm.
stops it for a lot of people. Um, did you find that experience yourself, or how did you get over that part of it as you were looking at whether this is something you were going to do or not do?
Yeah, when I first like found it, I kind of thought it myself, but then the more research I did into it, I felt more secure with it. But then when I told family and friends, they said, "Don't do it." Basically, they're like, it's just too much of a risk. And I was kind of thinking like, well, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, but I'm not really risking that much. There's no costs really involved, so I'm going to see how I get on with it.
Yeah,
And I'm glad I did.
yeah. I mean, it's obviously for me, for somebody who spent 12 to 15 years over in the States myself, working in the golf resorts and the bars and the restaurants, I think it's a great opportunity for really anyone who's sort of in that 21 to 34, 35 age group. And I suppose even when we look at that part of it, like why do we primarily look for people, or why do the clubs primarily only hire people who are sort of 21 to about 35?
Mm.
And I would say the reason being is that to be able to go out and socialize and enjoy the social side of working and living over in the States, and be able to get to, you know, obviously get better acquainted with your new roommates or housemates or teammates, and be able to go out for that bite to eat, be it even a burger in the local restaurant. Like over in America, after about 7, 8 p.m. in the evening, if you don't have a state ID or a passport saying you are over the age of 21, you don't get entry. And then you're the poor person and the only person sometimes who's left back in the condo watching TV when everyone else is out having a good time.
Mhm.
And over the years, we have allowed some people who are 20, maybe turning 21, halfway through that 8 month contract, through the process, and they have got offered, and they've, 100% been aware of it, and they've like, no, it won't bother me. But ultimately, it does. And it's like, as much as people think they can get over it and they can deal with it and it'll be fine, what we experience is it doesn't, and they end up coming home early because they do feel left out and they don't feel like they're part of a team. And how could you if you're the only one who can't go out and do any of the social activities? um, and the unfortunate problem is that once you decide to leave and come home early once, you don't get invited back to any of those 45, 50 clubs to work with, purely because it costs between about eight to $10,000 to bring each person over. So they can't be investing into somebody who doesn't sort of think it through and really understand the commitment that they're making to a club when they decide to say, yes, I want to go over and work for you. And then really for the people over 35, it boils down to, you potentially could be sharing a bedroom with a 21-year-old who's never been away from home before and will definitely get homesick at some stage, or can pretty much be guaranteed will party a bit too hard at some stage and come back home drunk as a monkey, and who knows, might even end up vomiting on you. And it's like, there's not too many 35-year-olds want that experience. So what we've sort of found is that 21 to 35 is really sort of the ideal catchment and the ideal age group that excel and really get to enjoy the experience. And I think for definitely for me here at B, and I know for our clubs, it's very much that twofold way of looking at it. That yes, we are always looking for people who are going to come over and really want to excel and be part of a team and deliver this great level of service that these guests and members expect. However, it's more important that everybody has an enjoyable experience all around. So we want, for argument's sake, a Dervala to go over to America to have a great time, be it for 8 months or for up to 3 years, decide whatever she's enjoyed her experience and it's finished for her and on to the next thing in life, or him, that they want to come home and share their experience with friends or colleagues who potentially then might want to go and explore working and living in the States themselves. So we sort of have to make sure, as much at times as I'm sure it seems like we're not being fair to people, that we make sure people have an enjoyable experience. And likewise, we have to sort of, I suppose, keep in mind that, does that 21, 22-year-old want to share a bedroom with a 35-year-old? Like, it's probably not a good dynamic for the 21, 22-year-old either. So it's a bit of a juggling act on our side. And I'm curious, for somebody who's been over there, Dervla, what was your sort of take on that of it, or what was your experience from that, or did you see to where it caused problems or difficulties for people who were over there, obviously sharing a bedroom, possibly with a stranger, or a condo or an apartment with five other people they'd never met before?
Well, I think the clubs did a really good job in actually like because they choose who you're sharing with, and they did a really good job with partnering people up with who they thought would be suitable to each other. So they wouldn't really put people who they didn't think would get along in the same house or in the same
Yep.
apartment. So, for the most part, like I did meet some people who didn't get on with their roommates, but I did meet people who they got moved around. If it was really bad, you can't move to a different
Yeah.
place. So
Yeah.
not that bad. Yeah.
Yeah, and not everyone's going to get on with each other.
Of course.
But I think it's sort of a case of trying to at least engage and interact with the people you're potentially going to live and work with, um, in the little club channels that we set up in our app, to where you can get as better acquainted as possible before you land over there. But then even when you're
Mm.
over there, you sort of need to realize that like not everyone is going to be your best friend, and not everyone's going to want to do what you want to do as you want to do it, or you need to be a little bit more mindful of, well, I'm going out tonight for a few drinks and a bite to eat, and I know my roommate's up at 6 a.m. in the morning to go to work. I better be a little
Yeah.
bit quieter when I come home, not come home and be making a mess or noise in the bedroom and that person's trying to sleep. So, but again, you definitely find to where some people are more, they're genuinely a morning person. Like I'm a sort of 6 a.m. in the morning riser. So for me, it would be great if I was doing it to be able to share a bedroom with somebody who's also a 6 a.m. in the morning riser or a 7 a.m. in the morning riser, because then we're both up in the morning and neither one of
Yeah.
us have to sort of be quiet or worried about making too much noise. Um,
Yeah. There's also people from like loads of different cultures, so you have to be respectful as well of people's different cultures and
Yeah,
backgrounds.
yeah, 100%. Yeah, I suppose it's good to point out as well. Like it's a great opportunity for people to, I suppose, meet people from all different cultures and
Oh,
different countries. Like typically each year we'll have about 1,500 people land in Florida, and the majority being from South Africa. And then we'll have people from Ireland, from the UK, from Portugal, from Italy. We've a small few people come in from Argentina, Mexico, so Jamaica. Like there is quite a big
yeah.
multicultural group that you will be potentially living with, working with in a club or a team that might be 12 people, for argument's sake, at the Oaks Club, up to 350 people at Boca West Club, and that's just an international team coming to work in a club. So yeah, there is people from all different walks of life, and I think it's probably one of the more exciting things that I watch unfold is the amount of people who create lifelong friends from different countries, or as we sort of joke about ourselves as the agents around the world is like, so who's getting married this year from what country?
Yeah.
Because typically over the years we've had a lot of Irish and South Africans end up getting married and starting families and relocating back to Ireland or the UK or South Africa, and it's like it's a cool little, I suppose, life experience that these people get out of it.
Yeah, definitely. I've definitely formed friendships for life. I even have a friend coming over to visit me in August, so
Nice.
it's nice. Yeah.
So I suppose we started off this morning saying we wanted to sort of share a little bit more about who is this like the ideal opportunity, or who should look at this and see whether it's something for them or not. I would always sort of say in my mind when we look at things, as I said, it's that 21 to 35-year-old. It's somebody who definitely has at least 6 months experience in a customer service or ideally a hospitality role. And even on that side of like, if we explore the customer service and hospitality role, so it's not so much about have you got 6 months experience as a waitress or a waiter or a chef or a bartender. It's more, have you got 6 months experience dealing with people who are going to be very demanding of you? So one of the areas we actually get a lot of really good people from that the clubs really like hiring is the Burger Kings, the McDonald's, the Circle K's, the Subways. It's all the fast food corporate outlets, because they know these people are trained, which obviously our clubs do a great job at training people and teaching them exactly how to do the job. But they know that once they show them how to do something, that they're genuinely going to be able to deliver in that role. But more importantly, because they're dealing with these corporate fast food chains that they're working in, you have guests who come in who are very demanding and want exactly what it is they want, and they know what's on the menu. So you're not trying to educate them, it's more being able to take their order, deal with them, and make sure they've got a good experience. So definitely people who are in the forecourts, people who are in the Subways, the O'Brien sandwich shops, the Burger Kings, the McDonald's, like they are all highly sought after by a lot of the country clubs. I would also say when we look at the people even in the hospitality industry on experience wise, it's very much, if you're working as a waitress, a waiter, a bartender, they're the sort of the positions we've the most amount of roles for. It's more do you understand how a restaurant operates? As in, like, have you any experience as a waiter or waitress or bartender where you go to a table, you explain items on a menu, you take an order, you put it through a till system, you have starters that will arrive, you know that gets cleared, then main courses will arrive, that gets cleared, you've drinks in between, you'll go to desserts, teas, and coffees, you'll present a bill, and you'll close it out on a till system. That's sort of like the level of experience they're looking for. That could be in a pub, a restaurant, a five-star hotel. It's more, do you understand and have you experience in how it operates? Because if you do, what the clubs, their mind frame is, that's great that you say worked in a five-star hotel or that you've worked in the local pub. Forget everything you know. We're going to teach you how we do our steps of service and how our members want to be taken care of when they come into the bars or the restaurants. So sometimes I feel people almost get a bit sort of afraid to look at the waiter or the waitress or the bartender roles because they think they're going to have a lot of five-star experience. It's not. It's more, do you understand the concept of how it operates being a waiter or being a bartender in a busy restaurant? And at the same stage, I suppose these clubs, because you've got fine dining restaurants, you've got casual restaurants, you've got poolside restaurants, it can very much take the person who is a bit more refined service, the person who likes a bit more fast paced, the person maybe who likes the buffet style of it. So there's lots of operations and lots of opportunities for somebody as a waiter or waitress or bartender within a club. And I think one of the things I think that's great, and I wish they'd embrace it here, even in Ireland or in Europe in general, is this whole idea of an assistant server. Like somebody who really doesn't have any major experience, but has a great personality, a great attitude, maybe is coming out of the Burger King or the McDonald's, and they're like, cool, we're going to actually let you, so John, be the assistant server to Derviller, who is the server, and she's going to teach you over a course of maybe 3, 6, 8 months how to be a server. And you're going to help her as she looks after all of her tables. So I might be resetting the tables, clearing the tables, dropping the drinks to the tables, bringing out the condiments. Would that be fair?
Yeah, pouring water, things like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Or maybe being the food runner expo inside in the kitchen, just making sure every table gets their food. Um, and then I suppose when we look at the other roles we have available, we have line cook roles. So very good for sort of prep chef, chef de partie, pastry chef, right up to, I would say, right up to senior sous chefs. Reason being, again, they will look at, okay, what experience have you got? Where do you like working within a kitchen? What's your sort of favorite area? Are you somebody who likes desserts? Are you somebody who likes the starter? Are you more of a prep person? Do you like the grill? Is it the saute? Is it the fry station? And they sort of try and go, cool, so you really like the fry station? Excellent. We're going to have you work on the fry section. Or you really like the grill? Great, you're going to be our grill guy. And I think it's a much different concept, again, than what we're used to here in Ireland or even in Europe, to where you're not expected to be proficient in all the sections in a kitchen.
Mhm.
It's more, which one do you really enjoy working in? Like if it was me, I love the grill above them all. So it would be the grill I would want to work on. But I would like to get exposure to the ones I'm over there, which obviously they do give to people as well. So definitely the culinary, there's a lot of opportunities there for people on that side of it. What did you go over as Dervla?
I went over as a hostess.
So
And
what did
then I
that entail?
ended up working in, I was a hostess in St. Andrews, and then I ended up working in the ladies' card room a lot of the time. So I was doing hostessing and then card room. And I was doing that in all three clubs, and then a bit of serving as well, a bit of serving assistance as
So when
well.
you were a hostess, what did that consist of?
Basically, greeting guests, assigning them seats, and bringing them to the tables, and just letting the servers know if there's any like requirements that they have, and just letting the servers know that they have a table as well. Also creating floor plans for events. Like there's a lot of weddings and things that you need to create floor plans for, and just making sure that a lot of guests as well, a lot of members they wouldn't really like their seats, so you'd have to like reassign seats and make sure that the seats were moved around correctly and that everyone was happy. So yeah,
So very
it's
much almost like so I would look at it and think anyone who's dealt with, say, a reception role, a front desk
yeah.
role, a sales role. Anyone's used to dealing with, say, volume phone calls, with information, with meeting and greeting people, even people working in the likes of your retail who are used to and greeting a guest as they walk in, potentially helping them find something or direct them to something, and then obviously making sure if they do want a booking for, I don't know, an event or a booking for something that the company is providing, that all gets taken care of by the hostess.
Yeah, pretty much everything like that. And then once everyone's in and seated, you usually go and help everybody else on the floor.
Cool. And you said you worked in three different clubs.
Yeah, I worked in St. Andrews, in
St.
Florida.
Andrews in Florida.
Yeah, in Boca Raton,
Yep.
um, and Glen Oaks in Westbury in Long Island, and then Palm Beach Country Club in Florida.
So, which was your favorite experience, Florida or Long Island?
Long Island for me. But I know
Okay.
people who prefer Florida for the sun, but for me, it was definitely Long Island.
And it's interesting. It's definitely one of the requests that comes in every year is, what have you got available for the summer season? And
Yeah.
unfortunately, every year I have to say to people, unless you go for the winter season from October through to May, you
Yeah.
don't get the opportunity to go for the summer season. And people often wonder, why, what's that all about? And this, I suppose, the simplest way of explaining it is that the winter season, because it's 8 months long, is much more advantageous, and I suppose probably justifies the cost that the clubs are willing to spend
Mm.
to bring people over for 8 months, whereas the 4 month summer season doesn't really justify the costs that are involved in bringing somebody over to America for a 4 month window. So, hence, once you're over in Florida working on your H2B for that initial 8 months, we can secure an in country extension, which allows you then go up and have your experience in New York, Boston, Florida, Philadelphia, the Carolinas, and other ones that get added on each year, and then flop back down to Florida for another 8 months if you want. And the cost for visa extensions is maybe about a tenth of the cost for an actual H2B, so it becomes much more cost effective. And I suppose even when we touch on that point of it, like a lot of clubs, they would really, I suppose, their dream scenario would be Derval arrives over on her first H2B, and not only does she do a good job for us and becomes a really good member of the team and somebody the team likes working with and somebody that members enjoy having around, but more importantly, we do such a good job providing Derval with not only a great work environment, but a great experience living in the States, that she might want to come back to us for a second season. And even more importantly, be great if she came back to us for a third season. And for a lot of clubs, it's a case of, and can we maybe develop and grow Derval's career with us? So
Mm.
again, it leads me sort of to, I suppose, the next little piece of the pie for me is, who else do I think Workaway is a sort of good opportunity for? So we've sort of covered a person who maybe hospitality isn't really what they're looking to do for their career, but they fancy a year or two traveling away, and America is somewhere they don't mind going to and exploring, pretty much like you did, Dervla. Or for
Mhm.
the person who's got maybe that 6 months experience, either in customer service or hospitality. But then there's also, for me, like um, the country club industry is so different to the hotel industry or to the bar and restaurant industry or to the cruise club industry. And the country club industry has a great career path for anybody who is in studying hospitality in school or who's currently working in hotels and they feel that the hospitality industry definitely is where they want to have their career. And I know, for example, like you can work your way up the ladder in the hospitality industry in Ireland or Europe or around the world in hotel industry. And maybe if you get into some of the top hotels as a GM, you might get, in around that 250,000 euros a year for a salary. Whereas if you get into an average country club and you work your way up like some people have, and I'm delighted to
Mm.
say we have one guy from Ireland who did years ago, and he's now running his country club and is picking up about a $500,000 a year as a salary. Now you get into some of the top country clubs, like some of the really prestigious ones in Florida, the big ones. Some of those GMs are on maybe 1.2, $1.3 million a year. And when you look at the country club operation, it's a very heavy, busy October to May. And come May, it tapers really way down to a very slower season, to where now you're recuperating from the busy 8 months you've had, but you're also putting plans in place for the next 8 month season. So it's a lot to me. there's a lot more quality of life to be had working in a country club than there is working in a hotel or working in a cruise line. And I think the other real benefit for me, like I'd love to have known about country clubs when I finished my hotel management. I would be in country clubs all day long, not hotels and golf and bars and restaurants and stuff. Um, and purely because I very much like the community feel of a country club. I like the fact that, if you are genuinely somebody who wants to be a good team player and you are somebody who likes to deliver great guest experiences, you are only dealing with the same membership pretty much every single year. So year after
Mhm.
year after year, it is Mr. and Mrs. McNamara are arriving back in for their 8 month peak season, and you're catching up with them about what were they doing in New York during the slower part of the year. And you know what Mr. and Mrs. McNamara like and don't like. So for me, it becomes a lot easier to really be able to focus on delivering that exceptional guest experience that these members demand and expect living in these private country clubs. So I'm always amazed. I suppose it may be because we haven't done a great job at it to date, but it's something we're looking to really try and focus on, is trying to educate people who are studying hospitality for a career or people who are already working in the industry and feel this is definitely their career of choice as to the benefits of exploring, 8 months working with a country club in Florida and then moving on to a country club in New York or Boston or Chicago and coming back to Florida and developing your career within the country club industry to where, you can very quickly go from being a server to a server captain, which is basically a supervisor, to an assistant manager to a manager. And all of those management positions definitely earn 30 to 40% higher salaries than what we offer in the hotel industry pretty much globally. Like I'm not too sure how many supervisors are out there, and I'd love to know if there is. Definitely, if you're a supervisor in Ireland or the UK at the moment, and you're earning more than 28 euros an hour for your basic 40-hour work week, let me know about it because that's what a lot of the server captains over in the States earn, and that's for their basic 30-hour work week. They get time and a half for working that extra 20 hours a week. It's not on salary. So there's definitely a lot of benefits to looking at I might develop my career in the country club industry as opposed to the hotel industry, or I might go down the country club route for 3 years and come back to the hotel industry, like I always dream and hope might happen, and start to revolutionize the hotel industry and maybe become a GM of a hotel here in Ireland or in Europe or the UK, and in 10 years' time be the person who's actually leading the transformation to where we're adopting a little bit more of the let's really make sure we're providing a good work-life balance for people who work for us and that we are being rewarded for the work we're doing, not feeling like we're being given a jacket and a title and a salary as a supervisor, but we're still a waiter and we're working 60 hours a week and getting paid for 40.
Yeah, and
And
not to
so,
mention it looks so good on your CV to say, like, see that you've been trained in a five-star restaurant by top chefs or whatever it is that you want to do.
yeah, and I think that's a really interesting part of it. So let me ask you this: for somebody who came from customer service and you
Yeah.
ended up working as a hostess and then a server, like what level of training did you receive for being a hostess and then transitioning through to being a server?
Basically, when you go in there, the people who are already there, like the locals, the people who work there, who live there, you shadow them for a few weeks and they just train you in and everything, anything that you have any questions with. But it's a very community kind of feeling, like everyone kind of helps everyone. So if you have any
Yeah,
questions, anyone is there to help you. And then you get to know by being a hostess, you get to know what the servers do because when you finish, like when everyone is seated and you're finished hostessing, you go and you help the servers, you bus tables and you do things like that. So you learn on your feet. And everyone kind of leaves at the same time every day. So everyone's kind of helping each other to get out the doors. So you do a bit of everything and you pick up easy, you pick up
yeah.
fast from around you.
Yeah, and I know some of the country clubs, and it's always a little bit different, but one of
Yeah.
the things I always find very, I suppose, a great part of the experience is the onboarding, it's the training, it's the fact
Yeah.
that the majority of country clubs, when you arrive, like you have a day, maybe 2 days, it all depends when your arrival date is to sort of just unpack, lounge by the pool at your condo, check out your area, figure out where you're living, make sure you, whatever it is you need from the stores you have, then the bus picks you up and brings you to the club. You arrive at the club, your first day or two is normally just orientation. You get to meet the rest of the team. They explain all the rules and regulations. They take you through the property, show you where everything is, where you're going to be working, how you come to work, how you leave from work, go through the timetables for the buses that pick you up and drop you off, help set up bank accounts, get driver's licenses, set up
Mm.
social security numbers, sort of all the things that for anyone arriving in a country, it's like, oh, how do I get a PPS number? They're like, well, do this, this, and this, and we'll take care of it and get it done for you. So again, it's one of the things I wish we could embrace more of here in Europe, to where we really give a great 2 days or 10 days or 2 weeks of an onboarding and training experience before we just throw people into a restaurant or bar or kitchen and wonder why they're not excelling, they're not delivering, and they're not really going above and beyond to our guests because we haven't trained them to do it. Like I love listening to the stories from people who've gone over to the clubs and they're like, yeah, the first couple of days it was just like all giving us the information and providing us with everything we needed to do to be able to live here. And then the next few days was, in a classroom showing us all the menus and going through till systems and going through role playing. And eventually, after a week or 10 days, I'm out in the restaurant with a buddy, and that person's making sure that I just follow them and shadow them and watch what's going on. And slowly but surely, over maybe another week, it's I'm actually looking after the tables, or I'm actually performing the job and they're shadowing me. And eventually it's like, okay, look, I'm good, I got this, we're all good to go here, let me just get on with doing the job.
Yeah.
um and it's something that it gets, I suppose it gets brought up time and time again by people who've gone to Florida. And even when I look at that part of it, and then I look at the interview part of it, like the other big piece we always get great feedback on is, oh my god, like that was such an easy interview. It was like 15 minutes, and really, like, they just wanted to know why I wanted to go work for them, what kind of personality I had, what I wanted to get out of it. And like as soon as they figured out, yeah, I can definitely talk, which if anyone who knows me, they know I can definitely talk. And I'm going for the right reasons, and I seem to have a bit of life and energy about me. They go, like, John, they spent like easily 10 minutes trying to sell me on why I should say yes to them when they make an offer, because they know I've got loads of people who want me to work for them, but they really want me to be excited about working for them. And I'm like, yeah, like it's a nice experience. And they always come off the video interviews or the face-to-face interviews going, why can't we do that in this country? And I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not too sure. So, and again, any of the GMs who know me in Ireland or the HR managers are sick and tired of me telling them, like, why can't we change and start embracing this kind of a culture for people, and maybe we'll attract more people into the industry. But that's definitely for another day. But I think there's a lot we can learn, and hopefully the people who have this experience to go over to the States bring some of this back and introduce it into their workplace themselves as they develop and grow careers. Um, who else would you think Workaway is a good fit for? Derval, we sort of spoke about the person who's just looking for that gap year, maybe from school or college,
Mhm.
or just wants to go and travel for a year or 2 or 3 years, while obviously having a job that's secured. We spoke about the person who's maybe, got a bit of experience in customer service or hospitality, and maybe doesn't know what they want to do for a career, and might be interested in looking at going and working in a country club and experiencing a complete different hospitality, I suppose, business and environment to work in. And we've sort of talked a little bit about the people who this is a career I want for life, like it, and there's great
Mhm.
opportunities for those people. Like, is there anyone we're missing or we haven't spoken about, or you can think of that? Yeah, that could be a good fit for them as well.
I think people who know that they want to be in hospitality, but they're not too sure what role. Like, for example, I know people who went over to be servers and now they're working events because they
Yeah,
figured out that events was more their jam, it's more their kind of thing. So you can go over there and you can kind of get a taste of everything and
yeah.
figure out what sector you like best.
Yeah, and I definitely think in one of the upcoming little episodes we're going to have here, we're definitely going to get into more detail of all the different roles we have, because there is
Yeah.
quite a few, and what those roles sort of entail. But like, if we were to give people a quick little snippet of it, it's basically food and beverage roles. So everything from assistant waiters to supervisors to bartenders to mixologists. It's hosts, hostesses, it's guest services, it's people in culinary. It is anyone who's got an interest in fitness, be it in leisure centres, in spa hosting, people for the tennis facilities, people who just like to play golf. Maybe they're not down at scratch golfers. It doesn't matter what their handicap is, but they enjoy golf. They're passionate about golf. There's roles for those people in the golf teams. So there's definitely a lot of different positions available. And as I said, I think further down as we go through these weekly little chats, we'll really explore all the positions available. But I mean, I think if it's me at this stage, and I'm not sure what I want to do in life next, or I'm just fed up doing what I'm doing, or I just want to daydream and have a look at what else is out there, or I'm in hospitality and it's the career I want to have, I would 100% recommend you head over to the website. You'll have a look at it. We'll put up some info for where the website is and how to get there. I won't pretend it's click here or here. I don't think we're at that stage yet. um, but we'll definitely provide you with the info for how to get to the website. You'll see all the information there. You'll even see some of the clubs that are profiled there. But I think probably one of the best places to look at is our FAQ page on the website, where you're really going to sort of see like all the information and all the questions and all the stuff that we get asked over the years. But then definitely our social media. We've a lot of great, I suppose, video testimonials from people who've sort of been on the program, who just shared their experience. And like everything we do, and like even with Dervla at the start of this whole process, it's about sharing the good, the bad, and there's no other word for it, but sometimes the ugly side of hospitality, working in a country club. Because as amazing as it is, and when people tell me it's too good to be true and it must be a scam, I like to explain to them about how demanding these members can be in these private country clubs, and how little tolerance these country clubs have when you decide you're not going to obey the rules and regulations. And we'll definitely get into the whole three strikes and you can be on a plane home before you even know what happened to you. So there is, yes, a fantastic opportunity, but there is a lot expected from people when they get over there. And there's very little room for game playing. Um, Anything else you can think of at the moment, Derviller, that you feel we should share with people for today? Or is it more sort of get involved on TikTok or on Instagram or Facebook or YouTube or wherever you can find us, and just ask us your questions and we'll provide you with the answers. And I'm sure the more people who ask questions, the more content we can create and share, which will provide people who mightn't have thought of that question, but all of a sudden they go, oh, I didn't think about that part, but that's good to know.
Exactly. Or even if you want, maybe John, if you wanted to, like, if someone's parents were apprehensive, maybe if you wanted to talk them
Yeah,
through it, like
100%. Yeah.
that's always a do, you know?
It is. I mean, and it's funny when, so I suppose a big shout out to Elaine Blood, who really sort of kicked this off 10, 12 years ago in Ireland, and sent over 8 people for our first year and sort of definitely built a program up where we've about 250 would normally come out of Ireland and the UK over there each year. But when I took over the mantle about 4 years ago from Elaine after she retired, she had a part of the process which I thought was a bit sort of crazy, where she used to go to the airport every morning for probably 3 weeks straight to wave off the next group of people who were getting on the plane to go over to the next club. And obviously, from being a country boy, I was like, that's like 2 hours up to Dublin, 2 hours down to Dublin every morning. I was like, I don't think I'll be doing that part.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, maybe a bit of, oh, I better not change what's working, decided the first year, well, I'll go to the airport and see what this whole thing is about. And I must say, not only was it great to see the excitement for people who were heading over there, but it was fab to be there to meet the parents and to be able to share my contact details with the parents and explain to them that, like, this is who we are and what we do, and if there is ever any issues or problems, you know how to get a hold of me and we will definitely help resolve whatever those issues or problems are. Because I think the only way Workaway have built a program from 25 years ago, bringing 50 people over to Florida, to nowadays bringing maybe 1,500 people over, which I'm delighted to be a part of, is because they make sure that every single person who comes over, be it they're good, they're bad, or they really didn't need to be there, gets taken care of and ultimately gets returned home safe and sound. Like, definitely COVID taught us a lot, and for me sort of gave me a lot more, I don't know, almost stick the chest out and be proud to be working with a company like Workaway, to where when the airlines shut down and they were trying to figure out how do we get all these people from South Africa out of America and home to their families, because their families are concerned and worried about lockdowns and what's going on. Workaway and a few of their clubs chartered private planes to get everybody back home to South Africa safe and sound, because unfortunately the South African airlines had shut down. So yeah, 100%, Irvin. Like, we are always happy to talk to a parent who's concerned or worried or skeptical. It was probably one of the reasons why we started doing more of the video stuff. Definitely to be able to put a name and a face to it for people, but also it was one of the biggest reasons we put it all up on the website under the FAQ page was we've nothing to hide. Like this is
Yeah.
everything. This is the good, the bad, and the ugly of it. And if it's for you, great. And if it's not, that's perfectly fine as well. Um, I suppose the last thing we want is for somebody to arrive over to Florida and say, I didn't know that, I didn't know that, I didn't know that. And
Yeah.
unfortunately come home after a week and it's been a waste of their time because it is like it's a long process. It's 5 to 6 months before you're ultimately going over to work over there. And it's a lot of energy and time and money and resources for the people who are looking to do this, for myself and for the clubs. So we'd sort of prefer that people really do gather all the information they want, ask all the questions they want, and make, definitely a conscientious decision as to whether it's the right thing for them or not.
Yeah, there's a lot of things to consider, but I still think it's a great opportunity. And even if you don't like agree, even if you don't like it, it's only a few months. You can always come
Yeah.
home.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely the best way of looking at it. Like worst case scenario, and I
Yeah.
know, like in this day and age, everyone's sort of feeling the pressure to perform and to excel and to be somebody and to achieve something and to have their life figured out by 23 or 24. And like I'm 45, and every year I wonder, what am I doing next year? Like I don't have
Yeah.
life figured out yet either. I'm still sort of rolling with the punches. But in the big picture of your lifespan, whether you like it or hate it, it's 8 months.
Yeah,
Like,
you
you're
can
going to make some
well.
great friends, you're gonna get to travel and see parts of America, you're gonna get to hang out on the beaches. Like, when you're my age, 45, whether you had a fabulous experience and it was the best thing you ever did, or it was an enjoyable experience, or you put up with it, you're gonna have great memories for that 8 months, and you're gonna have some great, flashbacks of your experiences over in the States.
Definitely.
So look, I think we'll wrap things up for today. I don't think there's anything else we need to share at the moment, people. Literally, it's just sort of let you guys know this is going to be a little weekly chat we're going to jump on. We're going to do. We're going to try and keep it just very, I suppose, informational, but definitely do get engaged. Ask whatever questions you have, and we will definitely provide you with the answers. And then we will look forward to, I suppose, next week catching up and discussing what it is you get out of this, if it is something you decide you want to do, and sort of just take you through, I suppose, step by step of the process, the journey ahead, where we are in things, what's going on, what's happening, what's next for people who've already gone through the interview stage as we go on this 6 to 8 month journey with everyone. And then hopefully over the course of the next, 5 to 6 months, we'll have some people join us as well, Dervila, maybe some of your colleagues who are already still over there, or some of the people we've sent over the years. And even better, who knows, maybe next December, January, we'll have some people on to have a chat with us about how was the flight over like, or the travel, or your first month working there, and
Mhm.
sort of keep this as being a little weekly catch up as to all things H2Bs in the USA.